Be sure to subscribe and click on the bell for notifications on future uploads. Hello everyone, Someone Bard here, or you can call me Sully. It's Christmas Day, and I got a movie review for Disney's 100th anniversary to celebrate with. And after having done Ernest Scared Stupid for Halloween, I think it's appropriate that I go over his next holiday movie, which is his second theatrical film after Ernest Goes to Camp. And this one to me is still as mixed, but sort of less. First released on November 11th, 1988, it's Ernest Saves Christmas. Director John R. Cherry III had made a kind of ish holiday comedy with characters, an story, and effects when needed. Set in Orlando, Florida, 2 days before Christmas, Santa Claus arrives with his magic sack of toys as he plans to meet the man who will take his place as the next Saint Nick. That person being Joe Carruthers, who once had a children's show that got cancelled and is performing a dinosaur puppet show at a children's museum. Santa gets a ride there from Ernest P. Roll, who's a taxi driver, and also picks up a teenage girl named Harmony Starr, who has a bit of a rebellious and greedy side. But when Santa approaches Joe for the position, he's interrupted by Joe's talent agent Marty, who offers him a role in a Christmas horror film called Christmas Sleigh, about an alien who terrorizes children on Christmas Eve. Yet as Joe takes up the movie role to film Tess, despite him having issues with violence and language, Santa's sack gets left with Ernest and Harmony, who don't know how it works, and Santa gets arrested by Marty for saying he's Santa Claus. And as Ernest and Harmony try to help Santa out of jail, and Santa tries to convince Joe about being the next Santa, brothers Bobby and Chuck get a delivery of Santa's 8 reindeer and sleigh, as they hold them for who they presume is a guy named Elms, when it is really 2 elves. In many respects, I don't quite know what to make of this one. It's not all funny, but there are a few bits I did laugh or even smirked at, like this crossing guard's expressions, and of Ernest going through, one of Ernest's taxi customers being so scared of Ernest's driving that he and his luggage become petrified, Ernest shoving a tree in his taxi cab to break in a window, and Marty's line of dialogue and how he said it in a kind of over-the-top way. It's definitely a low-budget film, and it really shows when it comes to the special effects that can't be in the same scene as the actors, like when Ernest drives a sleigh and he and the elves are being chased by military jets, or when a crate falls on Bobby and it's assumed he's flattened underneath it, but it doesn't quite look convincing when shown. Even when the reindeer are flying, it's mostly close-ups of their hooves or whooshing sound effects as the characters watch them go by. And it feels like most of the effects budget went to the shots of the sleigh flying and some blue screen shots. And there's some moments that should make sense but seemed odd, like the running gag of Chuck moving his eyes back and forth, and Ernest and Harmony visiting Vern, who's supposedly Ernest's friend, yet Ernest makes a mess in his house and Vern, despite shutting him out first, allows Ernest to try and fit a Christmas tree as he watches. Yet all Vern is just a POV shot with no dialogue. Santa's magic sack is one of the most questionable as there's little to no reason how it works, as it's full of glowing orbs that turn into stuff in one's hand, presumably based on the person's personality, though that's my best thought. And there are a couple bits I thought are okay, like Ernest having 3D glasses as sunglasses, or seeing "Oh Christmas Tree," but only those words. The opening credits showing famous paintings of Santa Claus from Norman Rockwell to Coca-Cola as Christmas carols are sung in the background. And maybe Santa Claus, who's played by Douglas Seal, who also voiced the Sultan from Aladdin. He certainly has a similar vibe to Kris Kringle from Miracle on 34th Street, usually being all cheery, making lots of Santa references, and everyone else doesn't believe him to be Santa Claus. Yet he did have a purpose coming to town to find a replacement for him, where Santa in Miracle on 34th Street was very vague as to why he was there in the first place. Though Douglas might not have the same likable charm as Edmund Gwynn or Richard Attenborough, he almost has it. The problem is that the rest of the film couldn't offer much for him, or is bogged down by its comedy and Ernest's own antics that are unfunny and overly silly to not fully getting the reasoning or letting Ernest just be Ernest through his many disguises and cartoony expressions. And as such, this is a questioning and nearly mystifying film for me. I'm still on the fence about Ernest P. Worrell, his behavior and appeal, and the humor that surrounds him, and while I'm mixed about Ernest Scared Stupid and it has fine moments, this one's a little less of a mixed bag with only a couple of okay moments. It won't be one I'll see every Christmas season, but there's at least something to it, even if I don't fully get it. 2.5 Mixed Christmas Mickeys. And that is it. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, follow on Facebook or Twitter, support me on Patreon, and tune in next time for more of Happy Sulli-Days, and have a Merry Christmas.